My husband's family asked for emergency help after my raise, then tried to sue me. No one congratulated me. They just wanted money. One by one, they reached out with fake smiles and real demands. I said no. Then the threats started. The lawsuit came next. But they had no idea what I'd already done. It was supposed to be a celebration. My first six-figure salary. Years of sacrifice, finally worth it. But instead of joy, I got silence, followed by requests. From his mother, his sister, even his unemployed brother. They called it family support. I called it manipulation. My husband? He said nothing, just watched it happen. When I refused, they pushed harder. Told me I owed them. Told me I was ungrateful. Then they took it further, accusing me of promises I never made. Suing me with faked screenshots. Trying to drag me down because I didn't hand over my success. That's when I stopped being nice. And started protecting everything I'd built. I've been with Derek for over 12 years. We met in our late 20s, when both of us were just starting out. He was steady, kind, the quiet type. And I was the one with big goals, long nights, and a plan to climb. We got married young, rented a tiny apartment, shared frozen pizzas and student loan debt. But we made it work. I handled the bills, balanced our accounts, stretched every dollar. He appreciated it, or at least I thought he did. I worked in healthcare for a nonprofit. The kind of job that takes everything from you but makes you believe it matters. For over a decade, I put in the work. Sacrificed weekends. Took calls at midnight. I watched younger, louder people get ahead while I stayed behind, waiting my turn. 6 months ago, that turn finally came. I was promoted to senior program director. It came with a raise, bonuses, and for the first time in my life, respect. Not just at work, but from the world. I didn't post a lot about it. Just a short update on LinkedIn. I thought the people who mattered would already know. I was wrong. Because 2 days after that post, I got a call from Margaret, my mother-in-law. She didn't say congrats. She didn't ask how I felt. She opened with, "Sweetie, Kenny's car is down again. It's about $3 grand. Could you help him out just this once?" Kenny, Derek's older brother, hasn't held a job for longer than a year. He's always starting something new: crypto, sneakers, selling life coaching sessions with no license. I didn't even blink. I said no. That same evening, Sasha, Derek's younger sister, texted, "Hey girl, congrats. Also, daycare's been killing me this month. You think you could float me $900? Just until tax refund comes through." By the end of the week, every member of Derek's family had reached out. Some through Derek. Some directly. No one said they were proud of me. No one even asked how I was doing. They just asked for money. At first, I tried to give Derek the benefit of the doubt. I asked him why they were all suddenly calling me. He shrugged, said, "They're just struggling right now. You know how things are." Then came the dinner. Margaret invited us to celebrate my big promotion. I agreed, hoping maybe this was an olive branch. A gesture of support. We showed up to a mid-range steakhouse. The whole family was already there. Everyone dressed a little too perfectly. No menus. No food. Just envelopes. Margaret slid one across the table. Inside was an itemized list. Kenny, $3,200. Sasha, $1,500 for rent, $900 for utilities. Margaret, $6,000 for mortgage. Miscellaneous family emergencies, $350. It totaled over $12,000. She smiled and said, "You're basically a daughter to me. A real daughter wouldn't say no." I didn't speak. I didn't cause a scene. I just nodded and said, "I'll think about it." But that night, I started digging. And what I found was betrayal hiding in plain sight. That night, I waited until Derek was asleep. Then I opened the laptop. We've always had joint accounts, checking, some shared credit cards. But I was the one who handled the bills. The one who knew every password, tracked every charge. I thought I would find a few transfers. Small things. Birthday gifts. Random help. But what I found made my stomach turn. Over the past 2 years, more than $8,000 had quietly left our joint account. Little by little. $150 here. $600 there. Every name was familiar. Kenny. Sasha. Margaret. It wasn't occasional. It was planned. Consistent. Repeating. And all of it came from my paycheck. I sat in the dark, heart racing, hands cold. He didn't even ask me. He just gave it away. I woke Derek up. "You've been sending them money." He didn't deny it. "I didn't want to stress you out," he said. "They needed help." I asked, "Do you think I owe them something now?" "Just because I got promoted." He said, "Just help them this once. Then it's over." This once? They'd been draining me for years. And he called it once? That was the moment something in me snapped, not with anger. With clarity. I stopped arguing. I started planning. That same night, I rerouted my direct deposit to a new personal account. Opened a separate savings. Transferred $72,000 out of reach. Closed the joint cards. Froze the joint checking. Left $17. I didn't touch his money. I didn't take a cent that wasn't mine. But I locked mine down like a fortress. I even created a trust for my investments. And just in case, I called a lawyer. The next morning, I sent one text. One message to the whole group. Hi everyone. I've decided not to contribute to the family's financial requests. Please don't ask again. Derek and I now keep our finances separate. If he chooses to help, that's his choice. Simple, clear, calm. But that text was a match. And they were soaked in gasoline. Within minutes, the phone started ringing. Sasha, Margaret, Derek. I didn't answer. But the voicemail Margaret left? I always thought of you as my own. This is betrayal. They weren't heartbroken. They were exposed. And the storm they were about to unleash. They had no idea how ready I was. I thought the worst part was over. That I'd drawn a line and they would back off. But instead, something shifted. Not just in their tone, but in Derek's silence. He looked tense. Not guilty. Not remorseful. Just twitchy. Like someone waiting for a plan to fall apart. 2 days later, I got my answer. A friend of mine, Kristen, sent me a DM. Hey, don't know if you've seen this, but Sasha accidentally posted a screenshot on her story. Looks like she deleted it, but I grabbed it fast. I opened the screenshot. It was a group chat. Between Margaret, Kenny, Sasha, and Derek. The name of the chat? Plan B Money with Wings. My heart sank. My hands shook. But I kept reading. Kenny, she'll cave. She always does. Margaret, I'll cry again if I have to. Worked last time. Sasha, if she doesn't pay up, we go to Plan B. Derek, calm down. I'll talk to her. I reread that last message 5 times. My husband wasn't just aware. He was part of it. He didn't just watch them manipulate me, he helped coordinate it. Plan B? What the hell was Plan B? I didn't know yet. But I knew one thing. This wasn't just family pressure. It was a calculated setup. And Derek was in on it. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. I forwarded the screenshot to my personal email, backed it up to the cloud, and sent it to my lawyer. Don't file anything yet, I told her. But I need to know what happens if this gets ugly. She was blunt. Get your documents in order. Print every statement. Save everything. If he's been giving away marital funds behind your back, we can build a case. That weekend, I canceled all plans. I created a folder on my desktop. I labeled it in all caps, War Mode. I downloaded every PDF from the bank. Every transaction. Every transfer. I made a timeline. I highlighted patterns. I flagged the account he used to send money, an old grant-linked account I had added him to years ago. A huge mistake. But I wasn't done. Monday morning, I walked into my nonprofit office to drop off internal forms. When I got home, a car was parked in my driveway. A man in khakis and a badge stepped out. Are you Mrs. Rowena L? Yes. I have a notice for you, ma'am. I opened the envelope right there on the porch. It was a civil lawsuit. Filed by Margaret. She was suing me for $10,000, claiming I had promised financial support and cruelly abandoned her in a time of need. They weren't backing down. They were going all in. And I had just crossed the line between family and war. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I didn't call Derek. I just stood there on the porch, lawsuit in hand, and breathed. They'd made their move. Now it was my turn. I walked back inside, sat down at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and began. First, I scanned the lawsuit. It was sloppy, full of emotional fluff and Photoshop screenshots. I never wrote half the things they claimed. One of them even had the wrong font. Then I called my lawyer. She didn't sound surprised. They're trying to rattle you, she said. But this is nothing. We'll file to dismiss, but let's go further. We counter. For defamation. Identity misuse. Financial fraud. You have receipts. I liked the sound of that. So I built a new folder. Counterstrike. I compiled everything. The doctored messages with metadata. The real bank transfers. The timeline of Derek's quiet siphoning. The group chat Sasha posted. The legal grant account they'd tampered with. I reached out to the grant agency and flagged suspicious activity tied to Derek and Kenny. The GoFundMe. The fake LLC. Then I shut down my social media. Changed every password. I warned HR at work, just in case they tried something desperate. And of course, they did. 2 days later, my lawyer called. They filed a complaint with your employer, she said, claiming mental instability, mishandling funds. I should have been shaken. But I wasn't. Because I'd already told HR everything. I wasn't playing defense. I was 4 steps ahead. Meanwhile, Derek stayed silent. He didn't ask about the lawsuit. He didn't apologize. He just moved through the house like a stranger. Maybe he thought I wouldn't go through with it. Maybe he still believed I was too nice. But what he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I was done playing the good wife. They came at me with guilt, with pressure, with lies. And now, they were about to see what happens when I fight back the smart way. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Low ceilings, buzzing lights, no drama, no audience, just facts. But for them, it was a stage. Margaret wore a pale cardigan, fake tears ready. Sasha sat beside her, arms crossed. Kenny in the back row, chewing gum. Derek? Quiet, nervous, sitting alone. I walked in holding my binder. Sat beside my lawyer, who was calm as stone. The judge, an older woman with silver hair pulled tight, looked over the documents and said, "Let's begin." Margaret's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client was emotionally manipulated. She believed she would receive support from someone she considered family, only to be abandoned cruelly during financial hardship. She's a senior citizen. She was promised help." I didn't react. I didn't roll my eyes. I just watched as my lawyer stood and said, "We have evidence this is not only false, but part of a larger pattern of manipulation and coercion involving financial fraud and identity misuse." She handed the judge the binder. Inside was everything. The metadata from the fake messages. Screenshots of the group chat labeled Plan B. Financial records showing over $8,000 drained over 2 years. Proof that Margaret wasn't struggling, she had just remodeled her kitchen. The GoFundMe lies. The fake LLC linked to Kenny. The bank account tied to the nonprofit's grant funds, touched by Derek. The judge flipped through it slowly, page by page, then looked up, voice firm. "This case is dismissed immediately. And I'm warning the plaintiffs, you are dangerously close to civil fraud and perjury." Margaret gasped. Sasha muttered something under her breath. Kenny slid lower in his seat. Derek didn't move. Then the judge said, "You're lucky she's not pressing criminal charges." For the first time in months, I let out a real breath. But it wasn't over. As I stepped into the hallway, Margaret came storming after me. "You think this makes you better than us?" Sasha shouted behind her. "This was all just to ruin our lives." I turned to Derek. "Say something." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "Nothing." "So I did. You used me. You sold me out. And you let them try to destroy me." Margaret pointed a shaking finger. "We're family." I looked her in the eye and said, "Family doesn't drain you dry and call it love." And with that, I walked out. Derek didn't come home that night. He texted once, "I need time." I didn't reply. 2 days later, he came back to pack a bag. No apology. No explanation. Just silence and a tired look in his eyes. "I didn't know it would go this far," he said quietly. I didn't even look up. "You didn't know? Or you didn't care?" He stood there a long time, then nodded once, and walked out. Margaret took down the GoFundMe that same week. Not because of guilt, because the grant agency had opened an investigation. Turns out using someone else's name to secure funds is a federal offense. Kenny's fake LLC was shut down. Sasha's debit card got flagged. Margaret stopped calling. Derek moved into a 1-bedroom near his cousin's place. I heard he's working part-time at an electronics store. I didn't chase him, didn't check in, didn't cry. I changed the locks, deleted the shared calendar. And one afternoon, I stood in the living room, looked around at my quiet, peaceful home, and just breathed. No noise, no guilt, no one asking for anything. Just me, free. It's been 3 months since the hearing. The emails have stopped. The messages dried up. I haven't seen Derek. Haven't heard from Margaret. But I still get updates from the universe. Turns out, the IRS picked up the case. A whistleblower complaint tied to the fake LLC, the false GoFundMe claims, and misused business funds. I didn't file it, but someone did. Kenny tried launching another hustle, some kind of crypto flipping course. It tanked. Sasha posts passive-aggressive quotes about betrayal and loyalty on Facebook. Derek? Last I heard, he lost his part-time job. Word got around. People don't like working with men who steal from their wives. Me? I sleep. I drink my coffee slowly. I go to work and walk in with my head held high. People keep asking me if I'm angry. I was. For a long time. But the truth is, I was mostly angry at myself. For ignoring the signs. For trying to be the good wife. For thinking love meant staying quiet. But not anymore. Because now I know. Peace is more valuable than loyalty to people who only love you when you're useful. And I'm done being useful to the wrong people.